In 1950, the Korean War broke out. Tens of thousands of refugees flocked to the port of Hungnam. Among them was a boy named Dak-soo.
This is not a playground. We are not here to play. Hold on tightly to your brother's hand. Understand?
The father and mother each took a sibling and ran out. The father instructed Dak-soo to hold his sister Mak-soon's hand tightly and to stay close behind him. The family followed the crowd to the port, but there were not enough boats to carry so many refugees. The refugees saw these boats as their last hope, leading them to rush towards the boats frantically. Amidst countless cries and the sound of trampling, Dak-soo's father and mother managed to get on the boat with the younger siblings. Young Dak-soo, carrying his sister Mak-soon, was still desperately trying to climb aboard.
Pull yourself together. This is not a playground. We are not here to play. Hold on tightly to your brother's hand.
Dak-soo held his sister's hand tightly, desperately climbing up. Just as Dak-soo was boarding the ship, a large hand appeared behind his sister and pulled her down. When Dak-soo reached the bow of the ship, he was left holding only the torn sleeve of his sister's jacket. In a state of shock, he looked down frantically but could not see any trace of his sister. Dak-soo screamed her name in utter despair. The father, who had rushed over, realized that his daughter Mak-soon had fallen, glanced at the floating corpses and the crowd below, then took Dak-soo aside and said to him,
"Remember your father's words. If I'm not around, as the eldest son, you are the head of the family. No matter what happens, always put your family first. Do you understand? From now on, you are the head of the family. You need to take good care of the family."
After instructing Dak-soo, the father began to climb down. However, once he reached the bottom, he couldn't find any trace of his daughter. The ship, full of refugees, started to rumble and slowly move. Just as he finished speaking, the town they had just evacuated was bombed into a sea of fire. Watching their home being destroyed, the departing people cried out in anguish, and Dak-soo's family was separated from his father and sister. Soon after, Dak-soo's mother took the children to her husband's sister's house. Though the aunt criticized the mother for leaving her brother behind, she did not refuse to take them in. The sensible Dak-soo always remembered his father's words. As the eldest son, he was the pillar of the family. To support his siblings' education, he worked as a porter at the port, although he himself had a dream of studying. When his brother was admitted to Seoul National University, the family needed a large amount of tuition. The brother, not wanting to burden the family, thought of giving up his studies. But the sister argued that if the brother didn't go to school, would he end up doing hard labor all his life and being ridiculed by others? However, the brother, feeling even more distressed, said,
Mother, do you know what the neighbors say about my brother? They say he has unfortunate parents and can't even go to school. He works hard all year round for the family. How can I feel at ease going to school after hearing those words?
Even so, the issue of his brother's tuition troubled Dak-soo. His good friend Dalgu told him about a good money-making opportunity, working as a miner in Germany. Due to the need for reconstruction after World War II, before leaving, he looked at his father's photo, constantly reminding himself that he was the head of the family and needed to shoulder the family's responsibilities. Before going down into the mines, the supervisor would always say to them,
"Come back safely."
Working in the coal mines was several times more grueling than Dak-soo's previous work at the port. In this dark and sunless place, injuries and bleeding were inevitable. Dak-soo constantly missed his family far away, until one day, on a sunny rest day, Dak-soo, riding his bicycle, was attracted by a singing voice. He was instantly captivated by an Asian girl with a sweet appearance. Dak-soo got to know the girl Young Ja. From Young Ja, he learned that she was a nurse, also from South Korea. After meeting Young Ja, Dak-soo's life, which had been as bitter as coffee, felt like it was sweetened with milk and sugar. Seeing the straightforward and sunny Dak-soo, Young Ja also felt warmly healed. However, during a mine operation, there was a gas leak, causing an explosion and collapse. Dak-soo returned to save his brother Dalgu, resulting in both of them being buried underground. Hearing about the accident, Young Ja hurried to the mine. She pleaded bitterly with the person in charge for a rescue, but he stated that they would not risk their lives if the gas was still present. His words completely enraged Young Ja.
The people down there are risking their lives because of you. Those miners. Those unfortunate, hard-working people. Those poor Koreans who came from afar. Do you think they are here just for the money? They came here for their families, for you.
The other surviving South Korean workers, seeing the Germans' indifference to their compatriots' lives and witnessing young Ja kneeling and begging the Germans while they remained unmoved, finally erupted. They ignored the obstruction, kicked down the barriers, and rushed to the buried mine to save their comrades. Buried underground, Deok-soo and Dal-gu were facing a life and death test. Dal-gu called out to his brother Deok-soo, urging him to hold on and think about his mother and siblings at home. When Dal-gu shone his flashlight on Deok-soo, his open eyes seemed like a window to his inner thoughts.
Father, until now, I have been keeping the shop, waiting for your return. So far, Mother has been doing well. I miss her too. My brother is very good at studying. He got into the prestigious Seoul National University. My little sister is becoming more and more beautiful. Although she sometimes gets into trouble, she has grown into a lovely young lady. Maksoon, my sister Maksoon, have you still not found her? I feel really sorry about Maksoon. Father, I am very tired. Living is really exhausting. But the person I miss the most right now is not father or mother, nor my brother and sister, but young Ja.
As the light grew brighter, the workers dug out a passage to life. Having faced the test of death, Deok-soo became even more determined to cherish the woman before him. However, because his visa was expiring, he had to return to Korea. But due to her work commitments, she couldn't return to Korea at that time and had to refuse Deok-soo's request. Not long after, he returned to the home he had missed. Thanks to his hard work, his brother's tuition was taken care of, the family bought a new house, and his aunt even told the diligent Deok-soo that she would leave the shop to him after her death. At that moment, a familiar figure appeared before him. It was young Ja. Young Ja came back to tell Deok-soo that she was 3 months pregnant. The night before Deok-soo returned to Korea, young Ja had given him a deep kiss. To prevent his beloved woman from leaving again, Deok-soo immediately married young Ja. After that, Deok-soo was admitted to the Maritime University. Just as he was buying pork to celebrate, he saw his sister and mother arguing in the yard. It turned out that his now older sister wanted to sell the house to use as a dowry for her marriage.
네 오빠가 독일 가서 죽게 살기로 탄대해갖고 니를 살기도 하고 우리가 이렇게 사는기다.
Hearing all this, Deok-soo felt troubled. Not long ago, his aunt had passed away and left the shop to him, but now he saw his uncle intending to sell it. Deok-soo recalled the words his father had said to him before getting off the boat.
If I don't come back, wait for me at your aunt's shop in the international market in Busan.
In order to one day wait for his father's return, he decided to buy the shop. Faced with buying the shop and his sister's dowry, Deok-soo proposed to his family. During the Vietnam War, he could deliver supplies to the battlefield and earn a high reward. However, his wife, knowing the danger of this trip, firmly opposed Deok-soo going. To persuade his wife, he said to her,
You think I want to take risks? This is my fate. This is just how my life is. What do you want me to do?
What about your fate? Can't you start living for yourself from now on instead of for others?
Even though he wanted to live for himself, he was his mother's son, his sister's brother, and the pillar of his family. In the end, he chose to go to Vietnam. There, he saw children experiencing the same hardships he had once endured, and he extended his blessings to them. It was this kindness that allowed him to detect the signs of a bomb attack in time. Days that followed were even more difficult. In the jungle, they were discovered by the Viet Cong and almost killed. Fortunately, nearby South Korean troops appeared and rescued them just in time. Later, they prepared to leave by tying explosives to a small pier but encountered a group of local refugees. Deok-soo decided to take them on the boat. The Viet Cong attacked, throwing them into disarray. Deok-soo swam towards her and quickly got her back on the boat. Just as Deok-soo was about to climb aboard, a bullet hit his left leg. The intense pain caused Deok-soo to let go. The South Korean troops then detonated the pier's explosives and escaped successfully. Upon returning, Deok-soo immediately sought out his wife, but seeing him barely able to stand, she realized that his leg was crippled. Despite the sacrifices, Deok-soo bought the shop, and his sister got married successfully. As his family grew happier, Deok-soo remained preoccupied with thoughts of his father and sister, Mak-soon. After decades of conflict between North and South Korea, peace and stability finally arrived. The search for family members between the two countries caught Deok-soo's attention. When recounting his story, he constantly blamed himself for Mak-soon's disappearance, as he only retained the torn sleeve of her jacket. Due to the lack of detailed clues, there were few responses. Finally, he received a response from someone who claimed to be his father, but the surnames didn't match, making Deok-soo realize the mistake. Nevertheless, Deok-soo's persistence eventually led him to contact a woman in the United States. Because of the language barrier, the woman, who was adopted by Americans as a child, had forgotten her native language and name. As she spoke, tears welled up in Deok-soo's eyes.
My sister Mak-soon has a mole on her left ear.
The woman showed the mole behind her ear, making Deok-soo and his family even more certain that she was his sister, Mak-soon.
I remember before being separated from my family. My brother kept telling me, "This is not a playground. We are not here to play. Hold on tightly to your brother's hand."
When the woman displayed her childhood clothes, Deok-soo could no longer hold back his emotions. He had finally found his sister Mak-soon. With her return, the family was almost complete, except for their father. However, time had passed, and their father was likely gone. Years later, Deok-soo, surrounded by his children and grandchildren, was seen by others as a stubborn old man with a peculiar temper, refusing to sell his shop in the international market no matter what. Even his own children couldn't understand why their father was so attached to that shop. And Deok-soo was alone in his room. Did he speak to his father's photograph and say,
Father, I kept my promise. I even found my sister Mak-soon. I did pretty well, didn't I? But I'm really so tired.
As the eldest son in his family, a son to his mother, a husband to his wife, and a father to his children, he never lived for himself. He always remembered his father's words and fought for the happiness of his family. Of course, he had dreams of sailing the seas and seeking freedom, but he was never truly himself. He was like a candle, illuminating the entire family.
I know you have endured a lot of hardships. I am truly grateful to you. You took on the responsibilities of the head of the family in my place. I am really grateful to you.
Father, I really miss you.
Yes, I miss you too.